My friend, close to 90% of us are mentally ill. And that's why you got garbage everywhere. They're not normal, man. We live with them out here, them poor bastards.
Is there any help for them, do you think, out here?
Sure, they're called people that don't want to do their jobs. That's why they're out here.
Portland was known for a mecca of the homeless to come in for the resources, but then the resources ran out, and so you come here and now what?
A lot of these people are mentally ill and they're not getting the kind of help that they need.
I think the problem is it's very hard to access help from the street. How do we then address that issue? If you have larger numbers of people that are living on the street, how are services getting to them, as opposed to how are they getting to services?
We've had people come in from out of town saying, what's the problem in Portland? What's going on here?
People do not feel safe or feel comfortable coming downtown because of it. I've literally had people running into my store saying, I do not feel safe. That's one thing that actually flipped my switch, and I'm like, Portland needs to fix this. It's not just Portland's problem, it's actually the whole state's problem.
Put blinders on a lot. Sadly, it's become the norm. And when you see stuff enough and all of that, it's just like, oh, there's a garbage can with all the stuff pulling out. I'm at the bus stop, I set my backpack down to get a bus pass, I look behind the bench and there's an uncapped needle.
I can see both sides of it. So as a business owner, I work really hard and I see people sleeping on the side of the street, and it's extremely frustrating to see that, and I want something to be done right away. And I see the other side of it of, what is the most effective way to handle this issue? These are people, and they should be treated as such.
We're trying to break out the norm of saying homelessness is a negative stereotype where it's like every single homeless person is drug addicted or mental health or something like that. That's not right, because that's just picking on one group of people. What are the issues? What's that? And it's the mental health, drug issues.
I'm Julia Orlando. I'm the director of the Bergen County Housing, Health, and Human Services Center. So Bergen County is the first community in the country, in our nation, to have achieved the end of chronic homelessness. There are people who are living on the street who have mental illness who don't know they have mental illness. That issue is very profound. And yes, medication helps that, absolutely. And they vary. Sometimes they're more reachable and then other times they're not reachable. But we should be doing that from housing. We had a woman come serious mentally ill when she came to us. She'd been living on the streets, she had been in a domestic violence situation, she wasn't making any sense. After a couple days of sleep and food, her symptoms were much better. And I realized that her being outside was really exacerbating. Yes, there was mental health issues, but they were not as profound as we were seeing them. So what we know is that once we're providing basic needs, once people can go to sleep and they're not afraid someone's going to put their hands on them or they're going to steal their things, we see people can stabilize.
A lot of people are saying we need to get houses for the homeless. There's some people that just do not want help. And it's sadly the drug abuse and also the mental health. They're actually the ones that are causing this issue. I think the city, the state, and also the county need to work as a cohesive group to actually help these two problems.
I think the solution does need to come from a systemic change of how we're dealing with this. It can't lay on the shoulders of any one group, police, business owners, citizens, anybody. It can't just be on any one person's shoulders or the government.
It's very important that care is coordinated with law enforcement, with treatment, and with the outreach folks who work with the homeless. When you have systems that are doing this wonderful job in themselves, but they're not coordinated, you really struggle to make a significant difference.
Skip one latte, skip one after work beer for the day for someone else. Even when it comes to like politicians and bigwigs that want to line, you don't have to donate all of your luxury cars, all of your fancy homes, but think about giving up one of them. Just trim the fat, you know, you still get yours, but you're helping someone else out too.
So maybe someone to guide them, or more government resources, officers that come out and actually help the problem as opposed to arresting people and throwing their tents away.
Finland has done this successfully. You can Google it. They have a clinic where you can go in the morning at 7 a.m. and get drugs. Then you go to your job high. Then you have housing provided for you. And what they have shown is that these people stop doing drugs over time. There's 1 or 2 folks that continue to use drugs. That when you have a purpose and a community and a place to sleep, the problem goes away.
At the end of the day, it's housing that ends homelessness. So how are we going to get people to housing? But what happens is when funding gets cut, then a lot of these really innovative ideas aren't able to be sustained. In other words, if we're going to send people to housing, we have to have communities that are welcoming that.